Welcome back to the State Farm Analyst Desk. It's another beautiful summer day in the studio, and as we prepare for the face-off between FlyQuest and Immortals, it is time to sink or swim, because class is in session. Welcome back to Divers Ed, Summer School Edition. I have my esteemed panel of judges on the desk ready to rate our curated selection of dives, so here's how it's gonna work. I will show my panel a play and break down the action, and then they will draw on their expertise and rate the dive out of 10, okay?
Okay.
You ready?
Yes. Ready as ever.
0.
Oh.
Damn.
High expectations set by Emily.
Like the whole thing is 0.
All right, anyway, we got our first dive. This is courtesy of IMT, the dredge line securing the kill onto Vulcan, and under the guise of the paranoia insanity, straight into the center of C9. Explosive cast follow up from Xerxes, and it is the double dunk of the heads under the water from Revenge. Judges.
Okay, I gotta say, I like the start of this dive. You know, they're doing a good job snowballing. They're able to commit to the dive. I think a lot of teams might have backed off here, but I like the decision to keep going in. The one mistake I gotta highlight is Raze with the buster shot away on Perks, but other than that, I was pretty impressed.
All right.
I love that how the whole team follows up on Insanity too, because sometimes you can have your Nocturne kind of going in and no one follows up. So I'm gonna give it an 8. Oh wow,
8?
okay, I'm the tough one.
I give it a solid 9. I just realized I don't have a 10 on mine.
You gotta go a 1-0.
It's a 1 and a 0.
We
so
can
it's a
combo
10.
together now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
99.
Yeah. I agree though. You know, if they got the Perks kill, I'm giving it a 10.
Yeah.
No such thing as a perfect play here.
Oh,
on
okay.
Divers Ed.
That's what we're saying.
All right,
Cool.
we got another one though. This one comes from the side of FlyQuest. It was a bit of an icy entrance from Jose de Oro, but it was a true pool party. Once we got the double TP, Someday is the first to exit this party. Abadage all alone in the deep end, about to sink like a rock into the water. But it is after he sinks that the lifeguard closer finally shows up to the party, just to face the same demise. I call that a bit of a party foul here, but I'll leave it up to my judges.
Okay. The big thing with this is, you know, it starts off well. Like, I'll give FlyQuest credit for the first part, but they could not have expected for all of 100T to just go in one by one and die.
I think that's what I was gonna say is the difficulty of executing on this dive is not that high because it was really one dive done 3 different times. It was 3v1 3 times versus, you know, like a 4v3 dive where you have to mechanically outplay them. This was, you know, 100 Thieves playing nice, giving them a layup a little bit.
Oh, you guys are mean. You can only take the opportunities you're given,
so sick.
and they execute it perfectly. I've
Whoa!
another 9.
If you went upside, you would have
Yeah, this does.
the devil.
Over a little bit
Do
there.
that? Ooh, spooky.
Yeah.
Guys, I appreciate you sticking to your guns, though, there, keeping
He's
it
the
at
softy
9.
judge.
Yeah, that's a softy, you know.
It goes from like
wanna-
softest to hardest, I guess.
Yeah, you're that teacher that's always giving everybody the high score.
It was an easy dive done well.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, the next one is a bit short and sweet. Happens in the shallow end of the bot lane, courtesy of IMT. A little sign that the waters are nice for entry as Ray's rocket jumps in to secure the kill here.
This is the kind of classic 80 carry left on weak side while the rest of the team does stuff, caught under turret, dies. It's a staple of the diving school. Like, everyone has to learn this dive to be able to execute it.
All right.
So you're saying it's another basic dive done well.
Yeah, but I would say there was less help by the enemy team.
Yeah, exactly. I'm giving it a 7 only because, you know, it's a pretty basic play, but God, guys.
Look,
They did execute it well.
It's a clean ass dive. I don't know what to tell you.
I agree.
Okay.
So if you all teach a summer course, I know
What is not
Yeah.
How about a
what
dive
is
where they
this?
actually make mistakes and they die?
That's it.
All right.
That's the only way to get lower than a 9.
To make a mistake, yeah.
Kaizen wins the instructor. He's the best judge on this panel. With all of that being said, though, let's hand it over to the sweetest duo to grace our presence. It is Pastry comes for the cast.
These all 9s.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. We've got Immortals taking on FlyQuest in just a second. But before we jump into Champ Select, we've been fortunate enough to have lots of LCS fans popping off about the matches on social media. And honestly, we've just had tons of fun featuring some of that on the broadcast as well. So just a thank you for all your incredible posts on socials and generally just being such a cool cool community. We've picked one fan to receive a Kone mouse and Vulcan keyboard from our peripherals partner Rocket. And this time, Crumbs, the fan responded to us.
He wants the free stuff.
All
Come
right.
and get it.
So congrats to Noah is your boy on your new peripherals. And thanks again to all of you out there we've been able to feature on our show. You are the many we are made by as we get ourselves into FlyQuest versus Immortals.
Yes, and this is a matchup that has serious implications for the momentum of these teams because FlyQuest currently is in an 0-2 situation. You do not want to have those 0-3 weeks, whereas Immortals, yes, they did start the split with that 3-0. They dropped a lot of games in week 2, but this time around, they have the momentum as if they actually were 2-0, about to finish a 3-0 week. They lost that game against TSM by the narrowest of margins. That backdoor that Huni had, TSM with a great week, they finished out 3-0. That was the win that took the wind out of the sails out of Immortals' perfect 3-0 repetition. So I think that this roster of IMT is really finally getting their game together. If they can prove that they can take a win here, they're really showing that that week where they dropped a lot of games might have just been a blip in the radar.
Yeah, IMT aren't quite the, was it odd weeks only, Echo Fox?
Could
They
be.
only went 2-0, 0-2. I think that was the team. But they do have a little bit of that like inconsistency about them, right? But I agree with you. IMT don't feel like they're very many steps away from finding their footing and just going on a run, right? Maybe you go on a 6-game streak. Maybe you go like 4-2 or it's 5-1, right? It does feel like this is a team that is maybe set to leapfrog themselves in the standings as they increase in power. So definitely a good test for them here up against FlyQuest. See if they can continue to show off their pretty fast-paced gameplay. If you tuned in yesterday, Rumble Nautilus, though, banned by FlyQuest, and Gwen, understandably, banned by IMT.
Yeah, FlyQuest has been very quick to pick up the new champions. Gwen in particular, if you remember, way back at the beginning when Licorice played it against CLG, looked really clean on it. Wouldn't be surprised if Jose Dioro, Palafox are all able to play this champion. So just banning out a lot of the standard champions, and they're not necessarily tailored against FlyQuest because FlyQuest thus far hasn't necessarily found an identity that they've stuck with the entire time. We've got teams like 100 Thieves that found the Karma, found the Akali, played it until it gets banned, and then show us something differently. FlyQuest continues to experiment. The one similarity has been that they like to play around Palafox and his Silas, but pick currently isn't something that you can just blind and always be successful with. So they tried it yesterday with the Sejuani. It did okay, but this time around, though, they will get the Karma, which has been heavily prioritized around the world. And one team today has shown us how to beat it, CLG, with their hard-engaged comp. So maybe IMT took a page from that one.
All right, of note, and also a difference from that game, Lulu is not banned. That's the other thing. So could be traded here if IMT want to take an Enchanter for themselves, but probably no need to rush that pick. I doubt FlyQuest would play double Enchanter. But to kind of, I guess, maybe look at your question a bit further about, what kind of identity should FlyQuest be playing? Well, I think we can all agree that their top side is pretty nice, right? And you have to maybe pick a lane to play through. Maybe they tried Licorice and it doesn't work. Jose definitely is the kind of player. It feels like you can build up to be a carry. Karma is definitely the kind of champion where you're going to play that kind of style. So they can't take this in because it is banned, but we'll see what else they maybe have here as Ezreal is going to go over to IMT.
A lot of the jungle picks right now that answer Rumble are carry junglers. We saw from 100 Thieves, the Diana, Fiddlesticks can be an answer to it as well as the Rumble does sacrifice the early game. So I'm curious to see what FlyQuest's plan is at the moment because of the Rumble ban, because it's not going to be so easy to blind these picks. Jose is hovering the Fiddlesticks, but most likely as a blind pick, it's kind of asking for trouble for the enemy team. So instead, they'll just take in that Lee Sin and give us, so far, a very standard core of some of the most contested picks in the current meta.
Yeah, kind of like the flexibility here, though. Karma and Lee both can go in a multitude of different places. They do take Triss, which is another flex here. I'm guessing it's Johnson's champion, given that Karma's on the board, but it could be Triss. Karma bot lane, then Pala could take something else. It could be Palafox's Trist. Licorice, I guess, could play Karma. That is a thing you can do. So there are definitely options here on the FlyQuest side. But Viego, Ezreal there for IMT. This time, by the way, not giving the Ezreal over. That's one of the... IMT have actually left Karma open twice now in their games. But interesting to see that this time they wanted to take the Ezreal for themselves, and they'll go for Gragas here.
So the Ezreal feels like not just a deny pick, but something that the IMT Academy team has been doing is playing Ezreal in the mid lane. Pretty good right now. We've seen it in other teams, and it was with Pretty, who did take a game in the LCS team. So I think that clearly we're already seeing the IMT lineup utilize the academy team with players. It wouldn't surprise me to see their strategies be bleeding over as well. So I think this Ezreal on red side can be very dangerous. It's something that FlyQuest will have to respect, as well as the respect for Xerxes. He has been so good on the picks that we have known him to have played in Europe before he came over. The Rumble was one of them. Did take a loss on the Gragas, but that was a very close game, and frankly, looks pretty good on it. It's really good as a displacement tool against these champions like the Karma and the Tristana, because you don't have to always use your cast to displace people into your team. You can just punt them away, and they're not the greatest champions at re-entering the fight once they're pushed away.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, it was Yasui yesterday playing Ezreal mid, but definitely an option here to have that as a pick. Insanity, that's right in his wheelhouse, right? This guy plays just about everything, so definitely a good note there on a potential flex. Lulu is actually banned by IMT, so they're considering double enchanter as a possibility. Clearly don't want it for themselves. Thresh banned as well. Leona banned by Fly. IMT definitely indicating that they think Karma is not going to Dreams, but I think he actually has already played at this split, if my memory is serving correctly. And maybe one more support ban here for Fly.
Really
kind of funny to see all this attention there.
That double enchanter ban or the Lulu ban is really peculiar, because that would have been a wonky FlyQuest composition. There's just not a strong enough hyper carry that you can rely on with the Tristana. She truly needs to go to the very edge of the game, level 18, for that range to be so dominating, and she doesn't have the ability to just harass you with abilities before just being able to auto you away. So with that being said, IMT does take away the Nocturne, and I think this is going to be for Insanity again. He had a really good game on it yesterday against Cloud9. They won with that one, and a really good play that they've been making is utilizing the Nocturne with the teleport on the side lanes to get a numbers advantage that FlyQuest simply is not able to answer. And with the likes of a Karma, she's going to be fodder with the Stride Breaker, with whoever is being set up for those ganks. She really won't be able to escape.
Yeah. I'm still doing a Lulu because I think it's so funny. Maybe the playing was like double AD, double Enchanter, Lee Sin.
Yeah.
Right? I guess that's a comp you can play on Fly, but anyway, we'll find out maybe later. Braum going to be the pick instead, following the Nocturne, because there's just been so many supports banned. Yuumi, funnily enough, was actually banned by FlyQuest. So
they're scared.
Destiny,
They're real scared of that one
from yesterday.
That's what it would have been really weird to go for that composition, because you need another hyper carry. You need something to get more value out of those auto attacks. And so it actually will be Kindred in the jungle then, helping out Lee Sin top, Karma in the mid lane. So it's not going to be the Karma Xin that we're used to, but Karma Kindred can be really deadly. And it's one of these champions that is amazing at dealing with hard dive compositions. You dive so hard, you commit everybody. Well, Lamb's Respite stops all of it, puts the entire team fight on pause. So this is an answer to IMT already committing 3 and now 4 champions that are going to be hard diving.
Now, I like this, especially kind of as a response to Nocturne mostly, right? But Viego obviously wants to dive as well. There is a little bit of already inbuilt counterplay for IMT, though. If you recall, many years back now, Kindred vs Gragas was a very common matchup. So Gragas does have the ability to boot her out of her ulti every now and then. But in general, I think both teams have set themselves up nicely. This is a kind of a different look on the Karma plus other stuff comp. But I kind of like what FlyQuest have set up here. And I guess as we've been somewhat indicating, it does feel like this game is going to be in the hands of Johnson and Jose Diodo. So he, at least on the top side for FlyQuest, is the one set up to carry this game.
Exactly, it's those two. Jose Diodo in particular, I think, will love having the Braum by his side. When you get sped up by the Karma and then you're able to stun people from a distance, it just makes it so difficult for anybody to be caught in the river by themselves on the side of IMT. So it's going to be critical for this game for Immortals. Keep track of Kindred. Keep her down. Don't get those marks be taken away, because if she starts getting that range stacked up, those 4, even that 7 mark number, she is going to be ridiculous to deal with. Tristana, you know she'll get there eventually, but you can keep the Kindred down.
All right, well, we'll see what happens here. IMT up against FlyQuest here as FlyQuest searching for a win throughout the weekend. IMT looking to continue some of the strength they've shown off already this week. Definitely big attention for those two men on your screen. Xerxes versus Jose.
I like that IMT prioritizes ease of execution a lot of these times. And even if it's not the easiest when they've played the Ziggs and the Yuumi, it's exactly what these players are good at. The Ziggs for Insanity, something that he's very familiar with, and now they're going to have multiple games on the same champions that same week. It's something that I always like to see. It's when teams find a win with a certain kind of draft, run it back. run it back until it gets banned. Force the enemy to take you away from the picks that you're already warm up on stage.
Oh, W start there.
Oh.
Xerxes gets bitten. And we have a pause.
All right.
Wolf's cranky.
Good time to have a pause, though. Very start of the game. I mean, there's really never a good time for a pause, but if you were to have one at the start of a game where nothing's happened, is a good time.
Is it good for the players? Because, you know, like, it's interesting, right? You know, nothing's happened yet. Like, you're not... I could definitely see how, you know, in a really tense game especially, something happens as opposed to, like, all your momentum gets knocked away, right? Maybe for the losing team, they have a chance to reset. Maybe for the winning team, it feels like the snowball kind of slows down. But at the start of the game, there's, like, not that much to think about.
That's why it's chiller. There's less of a mix of emotions happening because there's no way you could have been ramped up to the max with your adrenaline at the start of it. If you're that kind of player, I mean, kudos to you. You must be the emotional rock for your team if at the start of the game you're already, let's go, guys.
I feel like those are the players that like FF15 every game. They're burnt out by 12 minutes.
Yes, right. They gave the speech at Champs Select. They're already burnt out 2 minutes into the game. Can't type anymore.
Minions arrived, like, I'm out.
Right.
Sorry. My mental's gone. I spent it all in draft.
That explains so much in the player's mentality. Actually, they know the game starts at Champs Select, so they're putting too much energy in that.
Well, it's funny, right? Because I mean, this is kind of a tangent, but we do have some time. Kind of like in the like IMT TSM base race we saw, right? Where like we heard that's like, yeah, like it sucks, but can't really we don't practice that, right? You just have the players have to just kind of make the best decisions they can in the moment. It is kind of like that, especially when games get longer. Like most of your scrim games are not particularly long, right? It's pretty rare to have a 40-minute scrim game. Like most of them don't go that late. Some even end very early. So sometimes when you put in positions where, you know, you're thrown off a little bit, the game ends up being artificially longer because the pauses may be longer than you expect. It's draining because you still have to sit there, think, focus, play for, you know, maybe 10 minutes longer, which in a 30-minute game doesn't feel that bad, but, you know, you're 10 minutes extra tired by the time you're halfway through the game.
The thing that always got me playing on stage with pauses was if you didn't go to the bathroom beforehand, right? If you get caught there and you're like, oh, and then the pause is not long enough for you to actually tell the ref.
Doomed.
But maybe it happens again in the middle of the game. But another short pause, still no time to get up and go, right? So sometimes it really messes up your game, but other times you're just so focused to win as quickly as possible because of the motivation that nature is calling you. And, you know, you just take whatever you can get to make you the better player.
All right, well, we'll give you some more context on the pause once we have some, but for now, we're just hanging out, prepping up for Fly vs IMT. It looks like the players are talking.
Yeah, nothing's happened, right? So I think you can probably talk like, oh, make all the level 1 plans, whatever you're trying to do, but half the time, game starts and then you don't act upon them. You're just chilling.
I want to know what the best, like, what's the best level 1 plan concocted in a pause? Like, what's the best audible someone's ever thrown? Because, you know, you do rehearse these things, right? You practice your set plays. You talk about, like, oh, what are they going to do? Where do they generally put their wards at level 1? Where can we walk to maybe surprise someone? We always credit CLG for being good at this, but that's been a consistent thing from the org, even with infrastructure changes, which is kind of impressive. Yeah, I want to know what the best, like, on-the-fly pause plan ever created in the LCS was.
I don't know about the best one on the fly, but one that FlyQuest can do right now is actually just based on their own champions. Braum level 1, amazing. One of the best level 1 supports you could possibly have in the game. Endless stuns. And you have double ranged. You even have a Karma. So your level 1 can be devastating if you catch somebody off guard. So if I'm FlyQuest and I haven't decided what to do yet, you could go into the jungle. You could go for a cheese play, try to catch somebody off guard. Simply a flash Braum Q could be enough to get you a kill if the AD carries are there to follow it up. And IMT have to respect that. We just saw CLG against Dignitas throw a level 1 curveball that got you first blood and set up the entire game for more kills. So I think that the level 1, when your champions allow you to press an advantage, should almost always be taken. So we'll see if FlyQuest actually look to play around that because Braum has been getting a lot of bans. Champion not many people are used to right now.
I'm glad he's back. Braum makes for very fun games typically, and obviously, as you mentioned, very good at level 1. Also kind of on the thread you were in Champ Select. We already saw this a little bit from what gameplay we did actually see. Junglers are going to have to track each other very thoroughly here in this game, right? That's why Jose's walking up to that choke. He's using W to try and see if there's anyone there, maybe get a bit of poke. There's definitely, like, a lot of different things you have to do. Kindred is one of those junglers where if you and your team are not prepared to, like, basically bow to the Kindred's desired path, especially if you have to like be flexible and adapt it based on other things that happen in the game. Things fall apart very quickly, right? Because every jungler is dependent on their efficiency and pathing, but Kindred especially with Scuttle Curve RNG, it's tough. Like you have to, you have all these plans, right? And sometimes they just don't go your way. But you do need the info, and you do likely want to invade.
That's why when Kindred gets locked in, I always think this jungler has a lot of pull in their team.
Yeah.
To be able to get this champion and say, all right, you're going to have to play around me. You're going to have to come to help me for these marks. Because oftentimes, I mean, we've known this for 9 years now, that the junglers have been at the mercy of what the laners want to do, not just inside the game, but in the draft, right? You're red side, there's great opportunities to counterpick, but junglers are always being told, hey, I'm going to need you to first rotation your pick.
Feels like it's finally turning around, Crumbs, but due to some last-minute trade bugs and glitches with Coach Audio, we are trying to deliberate on the competitive integrity and are consulting with League Ops for a ruling. It does seem like we will be here a little longer. I thought I saw Gear 2 kind of go walking around, but I guess maybe they're discussing exactly what's going on. Again, when we have additional updates, we'll bring them to you. Don't you worry, everyone is just as keen as you are at home to get into the gameplay, including the players sitting on your stage currently looking at their pause screen. Not very exciting, unfortunately, for them. You remember the days of when there was a timer on the pause?
Yes,
you ever had a pause timer run out during a cast?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Rough. Real rough.
Or during a game, that's even worse. Yeah. Yeah. You're like, hey, it's not resolved, and we're starting again.
If I remember correctly, and unfortunately 100 Thieves have finished playing for this, so Bubba Smithy isn't around anymore. Maybe he's listening. But he and I cast a game a very long time ago.
In Australia?
Yeah, because we were casting, I think it was an Asian tournament. I don't know if it was an all-Chinese tournament or one of the Chinese versus Korean tournaments. It had a lot of like Asian region tournaments, which was really cool. I'm pretty confident Invictus Gaming were playing because I'm pretty sure it was the Illusions Javan that was part of the shenanigans. But there was a pause in the game. And obviously, back in the day, you had like a 30 or 40-minute timer. And we just like didn't know what was going on. So we're feeling the whole time, trying to figure out like what happened.
No one telling you what's happening with the car.
Maybe there was someone, but like we're mostly just killing time. And then the timer runs out. And we're like, now what do we do? And then I think we had like a couple more minutes, and then they're like, oh yeah, by the way, we have to remake the game. So these players played like almost like a 40-minute game. There's a pause, 30 minutes of pause time go by, and they're like, by the way, we have to replay this game. Because back in the day, the technology wasn't as good as it was now. That was fun. I don't remember the result of the game, but I definitely remember that pause.
Oh man, that hurts. That hurts for the players. Imagine if we had to do that to these guys today. We are glad technology.
Yes, thank you, technology.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Might have been IG vs. World Elite. Papa will remember.
Yeah.
If he's listening, he'll...
IG's an old team. IG's a very old team.
Yes.
So they've been around since I remember before Season 2 Worlds, and they actually had some really innovative strategies at the time, so they were good.
Yeah, I think a lot of those players made it to, like, some of the IEMs in the very early days, right? Because if you think about, like, the LCS started in Season 3 of League of Legends, 2013. So there were 2 years of tournaments basically before that, and a little bit in 2010. Not much, but a little bit, right? Because the game was very new back then. But in a lot of those early tournaments, you did have WE and IG make it out to some of them as well.
That's at IPL 4 World Elite Dominance.
Was it IPL 4? IPL 4?
It was in Las Vegas. It was in Las Vegas. That's all I know about it. And that they looked really good. And I think that's where we got the Messiah play.
Oh, I think you're right. That's also why everyone gets a free World Elite icon in the Chinese League of Legends client. At least you used to.
Oh.
Yeah, so back in the day, so obviously clients around the world are different.
Yeah.
So like they have all their own icons and stuff, but like, you know, you start with whatever the default icons are in your league client. And in the Chinese client, we found this out because we were using their client for tournament stuff when we cast the LPL from Sydney. You just get there's like a WE icon in the client. We're like, why do we have this? We don't have anything. We're just a counter spectate.
Is it the old logo? Like
I think so. Yeah.
Nice.
And they're like, oh, gave it to everyone as a celebration for them. I think winning that IPL. So everyone just has the WE icon.
That's a flex. So when you're in client and you see somebody with a logo of a really old team, a really old one, I think the oldest joke I remember about that was Cutie Pie would rock a Saigon Jokers one because we got rocked by Saigon Jokers in Worlds. Not a good time, but at least we laughed at their name.
Definitely a time.
Lost to Jokers.
Who are the Jokers?
You were them, took us down. Yep, we started the tradition of 0 wins at Worlds. Yeah.
It's okay. Don't bring us back.
Right. No, we're past those days. Other
gone.
teams have gone much farther than that.
No, these players are chatting.
Yeah, they're lively. This is actually really important to be able to maintain morale when nothing is happening because, like I said, right, some of these guys might have actually gone through a pretty epic get ready speech behind the studio right now, right? Just hyping each other up, but then pause.
These coaches have notebooks. I'm trying to spy. Not every coach has a notebook, but a lot of them do. I think Yodo is a notebookless warrior. He is.
Dude, I remember almost 9 years ago, we did a tournament, didn't have a notebook, and then we had the great idea, like, we should write our picks down. We should think about this before.
Yeah?
I think it can make a difference. And it did. It really did. I was on the plane just like, what do you think about this? Like, oh, write that down.
Wait, write that down.
Yeah.
We'll never remember
Yeah.
if we don't write it down. So Elimination was ahead of his time then.
No, I know. Listen, I know Lemon gets the credit. We did it first because Lemon was the thing is no one caught us on camera doing it, so he got the credit for being caught on camera.
Yeah, he brought a notebook to his desk.
We had
I
a
don't even know
notepad.
if you can
we
do
had
that anymore.
like the flip notepad, so it wasn't quite a notebook. He had a more epic one for sure.
Pretty sure we don't let you do that anymore. Like if a player wanted to bring a notebook on stage, I don't know if we let them now.
You know, there was a time where you could actually open up Notepad inside the computer during the game. And so what players would do, instead of typing the timers of summoners on the client chat, they would Alt-Tab and it's a notepad it there. So you'd actually keep an entire record of what the game's going down. And sometimes it would be easier. Because you could actually maintain it entirely open. If you played windowed like you see Destiny on the screen right now, you could actually keep the timers always open, and it doesn't actually disrupt the gameplay. So some old tech tricks that are currently not around, but fun days of League.
All right, well, that was fun, but League Ops has issued their ruling, and it looks like coach and referee headset were not working, so the teams did lose some important time to communicate. So we're going to remake the game and keeping the same draft. As a result, we are going to be heading to a short break while all that gets cleared up, and we'll see you on the other side for the rest of this match. to get ourselves into game once again for FlyQuest vs IMT. Soon after we meet the game, coaches have had an additional opportunity to talk to their team, but they will be speed running that draft. It isn't changing, Crumbs, and we'll get ourselves into game ASAP.
Yeah, this is the value of those last remarks that the coach tells you about how to play the game out. It's like, you want to do this, you want to play the early game, go for these ganks, or go for the level 1s that we were just talking about earlier. So that's the critical information that I think the teams really wanted to have. And so we'll just be quickly getting into the game, as now both teams have plenty of time to think about how they want to start the match.
Yep, again, I've had plenty of time to ponder what's going on. Of note, we are also like remaking the game, right? So anything that would have happened at level 1, not that a lot happened, to be perfectly honest, but I guess players can change things. Maybe they can change their runes. I think you're allowed to do that. I actually don't know.
Probably.
Probably.
Yeah, the champions matter. Like, you could change your runes almost every other time.
That's
so
true.
I think it's totally fine. It's fair. If you misplaced your mouse and took MR in a AD match, like, all right, come on, you let him have that.
What if we could do them in game? That'd be fun.
Change them.
No, just pick your minor runes like in the fountain. Right? That's like a little bit of freeze time. And then they're set, obviously, once the gate opens, you're done.
Yeah, I guess it lowers the opportunity for mistakes.
Yes.
If you actually mess up before.
Well, yes and no. Because, you know,
you messed it up again.
players are so used to being in the game that maybe they forget. And then what happens? It auto-picks?
Then you just try to lane swap constantly. Try to find the matchup that benefits you the most, and then you end up in one of those hokey-pokey games trying to find the right lane, find the right matchup for you, and then it turns into a fiesta, which are actually some of the most fun times in League, where solo laners are constantly trying to outdo each other because there's so many mind games and guessing. So that's actually one of my most enjoyable times watching the beginning of games, but they're so far and few in between. We did see it from this week, actually, from Team Liquid, Jensen and Jenkins, the double Js with Core JJ swapping out.
Kind of saw it today as well, right? Abadaga was moving around trying to find the Akali. I mean, you know what? It seems like the roles might be a thing of the past, Crumbs. If the future is any indication, it does seem like awful lot of swapping around is happening, both on the Rift and of your role.
That's how the game was originally. So we were just going full circle.
And no.
Yes, I think that's actually a deal, because so many coaches preach this, and I am 100% behind this. You should understand at the very least how to play every other role, and the best thing to do is to actually play it. Can you play your other roles competitively, at least at a solo queue level? Or we'll see if these teams can play their main roles at a LCS level, as we're now jumping into the second iteration of IMT versus FlyQuest.
It definitely makes sense to me, the solo laners. A lot of value in learning the other lane, right? So you can maybe swap things around, but especially nowadays, so many different champions you can play on those solo lanes. Definitely some value in moving them around. But for now, we are going to move back out onto the Rift. IMT versus Fly round 2, but same game. Ooh, bit of a change. Jose going to be spotted once again, but he's not alone this time.
That's the level 1 plan, but Xerxes keeping his distance. Destiny is nearby, but they know they are so much weaker at the level 1.
This is very smart, actually, from Destiny, just making sure he's hanging out in the area in case Xerxes gets invaded. Palafox does get some poke onto revenge, but not quite enough there. And if you've got some weekend errands to run, I don't want to miss any of the matchup as well, you can check out an audio-only cast of the games through League Day. Be sure to check that out as well.
It's actually very useful. A lot of the times, maybe you're running errands, you're doing something around the house, you can't have a screen in front of you all the time. Pop it in, listen to it. And that's sometimes how I like to watch my League games.
I've been pitching audio-only for a while because I just needed to hear the games driving. I was like, I'm heading home, I don't want to miss anything. And, streaming Twitch to your phone, not that exciting.
Yeah, and don't watch a screen while driving.
Exactly.
Very important. Keep your eyes on the road, guys. As a new driver, please do this.
Listen to him. All right, Xerxes on the blue buff, helping out Raze and Destiny. So a pretty substantial leash there. Dreams and Johnson are going to be at the wave alone for a pretty significant amount of time. As you can see, Dreams already playing up and ahead of the wave. Oh,
they missed one.
Nice juke actually by Destiny.
IMT missed experience for one of those creeps, so that could actually hurt them. I wonder if FlyQuest spotted that one. We'll try to push forward and take advantage on it on the next wave.
Sometimes the leash is too good, Crumbs.
Yeah. The jungler is like, thank you very much, man. I will gank your lane first. Don't worry about it.
I don't think he's passing that way. I don't think that's true. Xerxes looks like he's going up towards the
big
top
Bruce.
side. Yeah. You've been scammed. Here, give me a power leash. I'll come gank.
Right? Yes. Hey, it works half the time. You know, that's what the solo laners love to do. Guys, no flash. Guys, no flash. Come gank my lane. Turns out you commit everything for it. The guy flashes, so you still get the kill, but you're wondering, why did you tell me that? It's like, but we got the kill. It's all good.
You didn't know. I didn't know either. All right, Jose Diodo on the rafters. Going to go ahead and take those out. Power Fox here on the Karma dueling this Nocturne. Nocturne pushing the Daylights out of that wave, to be honest. Destiny does find Johnson. Johnson's still with the rocket jump ready to go. And now Ray's in trouble. Oh, Ignite is down already, though, so Ray's going to back away and be okay.
Yeah, I think Johnson actually got his rocket jump canceled there out of Destiny, so he didn't have it available to try to turn tail and go on top of Raze from that one. But still, FlyQuest walk away victorious with that. And now the coin flip, the dreaded coin flip for every Kindred jungler. Will it spawn on his own side, or will it spawn top side? Wow! Hits it. Amazing Kindred gameplay.
Good jungler. Also, like, probably the right way to go, right? Because their top lane is pushing in and your bot lane is pushing in. So sometimes you just have to decide based on the map state, but thankfully is rewarded by winning that 50-50. So it does get that first stack nice and quickly.
As the Gragas or the opposing jungler to a Kindred, you always feel like, dang, like, oh, they're already ahead of me. I couldn't do anything about that, guys. Like, I'm falling behind. So help me out. Help me protect the lanes, because it's not just about helping the Kindred, but also about helping Gragas defend those marks.
Quite the Q angle there from Licorice, by the way. Does get a good trade onto Revenge, but Revenge feeling just fine there on the Viego. Jose looking to dive here on the bottom side, making it very obvious, but can they even get away? Braum is there, Raze is low. Exhaust is down. Jose still looking for it, but the tower's so hot. There is the first blood. Does come through. Power Fox in time with the roam. Does get the shield. And they're going to redive Destiny here. It's going to be Power Fox to take the aggro. Destiny's going to miss that Q. Now TP's coming through. That's going to force the flash away as the teleport will protect the rest of the side. That's Insanity down here to make sure nothing else happens. And top side now, Licorice going to get himself stunned. Has to flash away. Nice pressure from Xerxes.
Yeah, well played from Licorice, dodging out on the counter move from IMT, but the dive on FlyQuest in the bottom lane is huge. That's another mark for Kindred. Bide her time, marked out the Ezreal. It didn't start off as cleanly as you would have liked to see it. I believe there's actually a split focus on who to go after there, because Dreams ends up tagging only Destiny, so there's no auto or even Braum Q to go onto the Ezreal, but Kindred's already marked Ezreal, and he's squishier, so they want to go after him. Luckily, though, with a good tower juggling, they're actually able to get the Kindred out, and then in the reattempt, there are the possibility for Nocturne to come back in here, so he just burns it to make sure that Destiny doesn't die and that somebody can catch that wave.
Yeah, FlyQuest, though, do not stick around, because Nocturne would have definitely killed at least one of them if they'd gotten overly ambitious there. So everyone gets out. Tons of summoners burnt in that exchange. Johnson is out of sums. Jose has no flash. Licorice out of sums, but that's a different reason. Xerxes with a nice bit of pressure in the top lane, as we saw on the other side of that play. And Insanity now level 6. So even though he did have to use the TP to help out bottom lane, is much more mobile now. He's going to shove these waves and then look to attack a side lane. Or perhaps Invade with his jungler can join Xerxes very easily if he's forward in his lane.
I would love that opportunity for Insanity and Xerxes here. You already have the Predator boots from the Gragas. Kindred just burned her flash. She wants to go after Gragas. She just marked them. So if they could team up and find Jose Diodo looking for a mark or just even trying to set up another gank, I think that's exactly who they can target, because taking down Kindred early slows her down so much, and in a team comp that revolves around her, well, what better way to get ahead than stop the opponent's win condition?
Revenge already level 6 here, so feeling like he can maybe fight Licorice with the current little XP advantage, but I can't imagine Licorice is too far away. Eventually going to go back in, does get a good bit of damage down. Able to kind of flex in the 1v1 right now. Licorice is behind a decent amount. Also a dive's coming in, so Xerxes is going to revisit from earlier. Licorice would love to clear this wave as soon as possible. Not 6 yet. Now finally gets it. Here comes Xerxes. Perhaps a bad time. Does kick him away. And now back onto Viego goes Licorice. But Licorice now going to get knocked around. The damage is there. Viego still going. Xerxes tanking up the tower, and it's just not enough.
Wow. Really good timing on Licorice there. Just clearing out the wave, knowing that he had level 6 available. IMT tried, but there really just was not enough damage between them. The Lee Sin too tanky right now, has the double cloth armor. So instead of rushing for his Iron Spike whip, he's rushing defensive tools to keep him alive in the top side. So normally that probably would have worked had he had a pickaxe, but because he chose to itemize defensively, knowing he's playing weak side as he's already been attacked before, he stays alive for the second attempt on his life. Yeah,
Bramble already done actually. Boots, Door, and Shield alongside that for Licorice. Xerxes does steal away the enemy blue buff, which is nice to see. And Revenge is enjoying a 25 CS lead currently. Though Licorice is going to get some back. Revenge does have TP though, so can use it to get very aggressively back to lane if he does want to keep up the pressure. Dreams gets a recall cancelled thanks to Destiny's Q and that sweeper. But Johnson has already taken his back. Pickaxe, 2 long swords, Boots, and a control ward. You love to see it. Coaches everywhere rejoice. As Ray's not taking that first back yet.
Yeah, I imagine IMT, though, want to recall pretty quickly because the Herald is going to be spawning right now. IMT's strong side has been Revenge right now. They've played towards him plenty of games in the past. It has worked out since FlyQuest did attack the bottom lane earlier, and the jungle pathings continue to work out in starting top side going bottom for FlyQuest. Well, looking to swap top side could get you a Rift Herald, but because the camp Gromp has spawned a mark, you got to go down there first. You can't let Jose Diodo take this one for free if you were to swap over and just give her another mark. She's already at 2 stacks, so giving a third just means that a team fight can happen and suddenly she's already at 4 and it's going to be a nightmare to deal with.
Yeah, as you said, the race to 4 is often what Kindred are thinking about in the early stages of the game, so Xerxes takes the Gromp. Pretty easy for him to do to deny that away. First Dragon did go to fly off the end of an earlier play, but the next one's up in 3 minutes, but not around for a bit, so no team has to really get there hastily. That Herald is up, as you mentioned as well, but it doesn't look like the teams want to play the top side right now.
The control wards for IMT, just tell me where they're prioritizing their playmaking. So they actually haven't cleared the Rift Herald, but they do have that double control ward on the Pixel and the left side, so they have 3 people available right away. FlyQuest is moving top side though, as Jose Diodo is moving to the top, but he knows he's already too late. They have vision on this, so he'll settle for a crab and trying to invade, but a good pathing for Xerxes means that there's nothing on the IMT blue side for Jose Diodo to take in return.
Yeah, it looks like I think maybe found a reset timer there for IMT, or just took the control they had with those wards you mentioned, but whatever it was, successful take of the Herald. In mid lane though, trouble for Insanity, pops the ulti here, and it's going to be a kill for Jose. Ooh. Does grab Insanity. Revenge also TPing in. Dreams now, no level 6 for the Braum. Q's going to miss and fly back away.
Very nice timing out of FlyQuest. They didn't have a play to make, but they see Insanity greedy in his return to the mid lane, knowing that, well, the wave has already been pushed in. We got the Herald. I want to just cash this out right now, not too worried about the karma, but instead it gets rooted and makes it very easy for FlyQuest to get the kill. Jose did not want to risk anything, and actually with those sick mechanics, ends up putting himself even further away from the Viego. So the spell shield comes out too late, doesn't actually block the karma tether, and then he dodges out of this. We could have actually even tanked it and would have still been displaced to the bot side. So the important thing was flashing in that direction. Didn't matter how deep he went.
All right, and you can see Jose, top of the gold charts right now. First player to clear 4K by a lot, actually. Powerfox next in line is, 500-600 gold behind his jungler, but does have the Shurelya's battle song completed. One of the nice things about the item being so cheap.
Yeah, that is actually going to be very relevant from now on, since Kindred will love to have her spells. Oh, Revenge, though there is kick on Licorice. If he oversteps, he's going to get punted back.
It's a great bait here by Licorice. Oh, he sold it so well. Now the insta-flash from Revenge. Pops the ulti as well to get away. But very nicely done there by FlyQuest.
Sold it so well, but then just showed his hand right at the very end. I think you could have made sure that the money was in your bank account before you really committed that one. He was writing the check. Really wanted to go after the Lee Sin, took a bad trade, but then showed up immediately. Revenge still with the flash and ultimate, so you get a lot out of him, but not quite the kill. And show your hand. He gets to recall right away, though, knowing that the Herald is popped into the bot side, and he wants to defend this in case IMT wants to commit more for this play.
All right, well, Herald's going to crash down bottom side. Raze collects some of the gold from the plates, and Dragon's up in 10 seconds. Rakana's already taken it back. But FlyQuest are going to have to spend some time getting here. Jose is back out on this side of the map, though, and does have his Mythic finish already. In fact, it's 2 Mythics to 0 right now here for FlyQuest, partly for Powerfox because his mythic is quite cheap. And Jose's just honestly pretty far ahead in this game. Again, was up in gold, has those 2 kills. Now the Kraken Slayer completed for Kindred already.
That's very scary. And now you see Dreams just teaming up with Jose Diodo and Palafox. These two now are going to be able to win most 2v2 battles. Insanity does have his ultimate back, so it's not something that they can be very confident with if they just catch 2v2 without the Nocturne, because they can get jumped on. But there's now another mark that Kindred's going to get on spawn, and so she's going to top off to 3. Oh, I misread that actually. That was in the Raptor camp.
Yeah, so actually the other one with the mark, but they're busy top lane. Licorice has felt the weak side pressure this game, but does dodge out of the 1v3. Does have to flash, unfortunately for him, but FlyQuest are just winning on this side of the map so hard that I don't think they mind too much here. It's going to be a race for first tower, though, as Jose is going to take the blue buff away, but Johnson's going to start working on this bottom tower.
He's learned from the game against TSM, where Licorice has been getting just hard camped. Now he's not dying to them. He's actually just backing away and allowing the rest of the team to get advantages in opposite sides of the map. So it works out at the end. Both teams are just trading gold. It's reminiscent of the turret pushing days at level 1, where you just trade in the side lanes and try to take turrets, and you just count on one side of yours to carry the rest of the game. And when you have double marksmen that are going to be the core of your composition, having a Braum, having a Karma, I have more faith in these components of my team composition getting gold than just a single Viego. Viego's so much better against melee champions that want to put themselves in the range of his sword. Against the Kindred, against the Tristana, it's going to be much harder for him to get into the backline and start DPSing before he gets knocked down.
Yeah, race to first tower still on, by the way. Both top and bot for IMT and Fly had to back away, so it's 1 plate left on the bottom side, 1.5 here in the top side, but Licorice is actually keeping Viego off this tower. Happy to tank it there. Popping the safeguard, does have 3 points in it already.
And just freezing the wave, just holding it. There's nothing going on the map. There's no need to actually try to push this right now. You know you're already playing weak side. I mean, that's part of why you get dove a lot, actually, if you just keep holding waves right there. But in the meantime, IMT is attempting to set up something with Destiny in the back. We've seen this from Smoothie a lot this week, trying to go for flanks on the Rakan. But with the rest of the team not being in that position, he'll just back off.
Yeah, unfortunately for Destiny, the play is not happening in that jungle. Even though they do a very nice control deep in FlyQuest jungle, the play is just straight through the lane there in bottom side. FlyQuest collect the last few plates, I believe, and do get the first tower bonus gold as well. But Destiny, the long con may pay off here.
Ooh, the secret destiny of IMT.
Destiny now 1v3ing, but there's Nocturne joining in, 2v3. As Jose getting low, Insanity did a ton of damage to his Dreams. Tries to pop the ulti, but doesn't really find anyone there. As Powerfox does get away, was forced to flash though. 2
flashes on 2 very important members of FlyQuest, so they will be able to punish this one next time around since they kept their own. Nocturne, Rakan, and Gragas can still look for that play when their ultimates come back up. So the flank still works out. They were going to lose that turret anyway, since that was where FlyQuest was attacking with their double carries and a very strong Kindred right now. So I think that that's one move that Immortals would have loved to get some kills on, but can attack again in a few minutes. Unfortunately, it will cost them the Rift Herald. Without those ultimates, it's going to be very difficult to contest this. Jose still has his own ultimate, so if a fight were to break out, he can buy enough time for the rest of the team to collapse. Instead, no one will look for it. They'll just get a free Rift Herald.
Yeah, should be an easy Herald take there by the looks of things. Revenge is looking to 1v1 Johnson perhaps, but Tristana going to stay safe. Has the rocket jump at the ready, so not under too much threat there. IMT are looking to respond here, but a little too late for that Herald as we anticipated. And both the marksmen on the FlyQuest side are looking good as far as that gold generation goes. Johnson actually now, thanks to those the tower and bottom side actually leaping up ahead in gold, but both of them clearing 6k already. I mean, Revenge is next in line for IMT, right? He's got the Divine Sundra. At least in this mid game, it does feel like he's the one with the gold and kind of put to task to try and carry in this situation, but IMT definitely going to have to worry about the damage output because Tristan Kindred are only going to get stronger as the game goes later.
Yeah, I don't think the responsibility for IMT can be entirely lifted by Revenge. It will have to come from not just his own play, but how coordinated the engage is. You're going to have to find flank angles. You're going to have to turn off the lights with Insanity's ultimate and allow the Rakan or the Gragas to get into the backline. Same thing with Revenge. Displacing the Kindred or even being able to pop her before the ultimate comes out will be the keys in actually taking down this FlyQuest lineup, because with how fed these carries are already getting, as we saw with the gold graphs, they're going to be able to just mow down whoever gets tagged by Braum and by Karma. So far, FlyQuest not necessarily accelerated in their gold. They do have a fair bit of dragons, but the itemization is exactly where they want it to be.
Yeah, pace of this game feels definitely comfy for FlyQuest. Got 2 ADs, got an Enchanter. Everything's feeling A-okay. Xerxes lining up a dive here with Destiny, though. Doesn't have Insanity available for the potential ulti dive. He's bottom side right now, battling Licorice. But Xerxes just going to steal away this camp instead, and I think Powerfox is playing respectfully enough with the vision he doesn't have. As FlyQuest able to easily demolish this top tower.
I love this Rift Herald play topside from FlyQuest. They can take this home into 2 turrets if they want to trade this dragon right now. IMT is already down here. They can infer that it's going to happen, but instead of actually going for it, they will just back off. Maybe they're trying to rotate into the mid lane. I think this was a good opportunity to go for 2, though. They were already out of position for this dragon. There's no way they make it, but the carries instead will rotate to the mid lane and see if they can get some damage there.
Yeah, not enough vision here for this play, and not enough time absolutely there, as IMT will take that dragon and even things up. So definitely going to be a slow game as far as dragon stacking goes, but it doesn't seem like either team minds too much.
They know the dragons are not the win cons that they used to be, which is, I think, is very healthy for the game right now, where just prioritizing the fight, the way you execute your composition is more important. So they know that, well, the dragon is simply the reason for the fights to happen, and so oftentimes we see the teams that maybe lose the dragon in the fight, but they win it. They take out the jungler who perhaps overcommits to trying to win a smite war, and you give up Baron, and you give up way many more objectives that are more important to actually closing out the game. And here Revenge will have to back off, and rightfully sees it, as Dreams and Jose were just lurking over that blast cone, waiting for him to overextend.
Jose now level 12, still searching for the 3rd and 4th stack, by the way, only at 2 at this moment. Hasn't been able to counter jungle the camp that has it, hasn't been able to kill the enemy jungle either, and in fact might be in trouble. Great flash from Jose, as Destiny was looking for the angle, and now FlyQuest will reinforce. Johnson at the ready, ulti out from Dreams. Doesn't connect. There was the TP from Licorice. She's going to let him go deep, and Insanity right there to meet it. As Dreams looks to flash Q in, but doesn't find it. Now Licorice slow, Destiny re-engaging. Safeguard away. Destiny low, but not dead just yet. Buster shot a little short on getting that kill.
Oh, so many abilities burned. And this is what happens when the windows in which Flash were down were not capitalized upon. Kindred already had the flash back up, so very quick reactions from Jose Diodo to actually flash away out of the Rakan engage. Would have died 100% had he been caught by that, but today has been a day where the people playing the marksman have really shown us how quickly they can flash away. Tactical in the bottom lane stands out, and now Jose Diodo.
All right, well, still plenty of ultis up for IMT and able to easily clear the wave, so no more mid push there for FlyQuest. But again, tough for IMT to really dive them because Kindred ulti is just such a powerful tool in that regard. So FlyQuest, actually, I like this little play. Wait for everyone to go back to lanes, come back to mid there with 3, and make sure they knock it down, because Trist, again, doesn't need much time with the wave there in order to take that tower. So FlyQuest had a little bit of maneuvering back and forth, have actually killed all 3 outer towers now.
Actually taking a page out of IMT's earlier move against Cloud9, where they just waited for the recalls to happen around Baron and then re-engage on the objective. So you just play upon your opponent's assumptions, and especially around vision. You back off into a place that you know is entirely unwarded, and then if you can see them recall, that's extra confidence in being able to go back and take the objective you were after.
All right, well, Revenge is at least going to get a tower back here for IMT, make that objective score 2-3, still in FlyQuest's favor. Items are starting to be finished, though, on the fly side. 2 for Jose, Phantom Dancer done. Chemtech Putrefied done for Powerfox as well, and also the PD done for Johnson. So again, this is kind of the core, I think, of FlyQuest team comp to think about, right? It's Karma buffing 2 different enchanters, and like Lee Sin and Braum's job is to, like, I don't know, CC people so your carries don't die.
Yeah, pretty much, right? Keep these guys alive. As long as they live, you can win the fight. Their DPS is through the roof, and I wonder if IMT feels pressure to take these fights right now, because they can always find members and blow them up if they do it quickly enough before the abilities really come out. But if Braum gets to stand in front, if Kindred gets the ultimate off, it's so much harder, and they haven't really been pressuring FlyQuest. They feel like they can run this map right now. They're starting to group up. They know they have the numbers advantage. Even though Licorice doesn't have Flash, he's still pathing, or pardon, TP, he's still pathing next to the team because with the double Kraken Phantom Dancer, pressuring Baron is a real prospect for them right now. So things get harder for IMT and the stakes get raised.
Right, and like, let's be honest, this is not a quick game, right? We've had 2 kills in 22 minutes. This is a lot more about the farming and the back and forth. And I honestly just really love this Kindred pick from FlyQuest because it feels like IMT like know the plan is to kill the Kindred, right? Because you can't really accomplish much without it. But that's a pretty challenging task if Karma is anywhere in the vicinity.
That's what the power of the composition is. It makes it so difficult to prioritize them because they both keep each other alive. And they both buff each other now that their itemization is so synergistic. So it actually ends up being a really devastating combination. You just got to watch where Palafox is at. And he's just chucking shields away. But IMT engaging.
Lights out. Destiny goes in. There it is. There's the shutdown on the Kindred. And there's Braum going to go down as well. We said IMT couldn't find the angle. They prove us very wrong. It's straight to Baron for Immortals.
That's exactly what they need to do. Engage with everything and make sure that Kindred does not get the ultimate off. No jungler available, no smite. FlyQuest might try to answer this, but Licorice is not that strong. He's built tanky. It's going to be up to Johnson if they really want to win this.
Palafox with decent poke, but it's only on to Destiny. They're just going to stay on the Baron here. Palafox still running in. Johnson has to find something. Xerxes finds 2 with the Bloody Slam, but Johnson flashes out. Licorice still alive as well as IMT have peeled off the objective, but Johnson now isolated. Has to be a touch careful, and IMT back to Baron they go, but not a whole lot of health, so it's time to reset.
Good defense out of FlyQuest, and they actually will win out on the objectives after this. The Dragon is up. They can peel away for that one, and it will actually take them to Soul Point. So FlyQuest, with the 3 members remaining, already showing us the power that Karma and a single AD carry can pull off. Good flash away there out of Johnson to stay alive and make sure that the mission of just getting IMT off the Baron was a success.
All right, let's touch this one again. Jose just blown up here.
Destiny once again, and the sick thing about this was the paranoia at the same time. The rest of FlyQuest doesn't know how to help. They're over the ledge. They don't see what's happening. So they just have to count on Jose Deoda to maybe pull the trigger on his ultimate quickly enough. The guy's even got Merc Treads trying to survive this, but it's just not enough. There's too much CC layered on top of him, and he doesn't have any defensive items besides that one. So they blow him up, they go for an objective, but it doesn't actually pay off.
Yeah, we talked about it in Champ Select. We didn't even get to see if it would have happened, but Xerxes had the ulti sending in as well, right?
Yeah.
So even if he ultis, there's a chance you get knocked out and die instantly anyway. So I think IMT definitely had that CC chain on lock. Palafox cannot point and click on his own jungler because Nocturne Ultimate's pretty powerful, as it turns out. So FlyQuest's going to have to go back to the drawing board here as IMT. They're going to make that gold lead basically insignificant on the Fly side. They're up 600-700 gold, but at 25 minutes, less than 1,000 gold lead. That's pretty much a dead even game as far as gold is concerned. So it is just going to be about this Baron and the upcoming Dragon Soul for FlyQuest.
And the engages that IMT will find with that vision, because that last one was played really well. Destiny hiding on the flank, found the angle onto exactly the target you want to go after. But will FlyQuest actually let that happen again? Because now Jose Deoda has to keep in mind, the second you see Destiny come in, you gotta pop that ultimate. Or Xerxes, one of the two. Those are the only members that can actually lock you down instantly. Insanity's not such a problem, so as long as they're marking those 2 targets, it should be easier for FlyQuest to respond and survive the initial engage.
Yeah, also easier if they're sticking together, right? Because then Palafox doesn't have the issue of not being able to click on you. He can just stand next to you and shield himself with a Mantrid E if you really need to get the shields happening, so... FlyQuest definitely understand that, you know, their comp is definitely very strong together, so they are sticking together a little bit more now. Surfing up around the river here for these objectives. Palafox, though, busy in the bot side, working on item number 3. Actually, both the ADs also working on the same there, as IMT are getting their second items trickling in and continuing to remain proactive, which you like to see.
Yeah, they are proactive. They are on Baron. Destiny should be out.
Oh, Licorice! Very deep. Too deep, in fact, is revenge. Gonna get a kill there onto Licorice.
That's not the ones you want to take, Pastry. That was not the least in queue to go in. Now, not just because it was not juicy at all. There was nobody low. there wasn't really an angle to kick somebody, but on top of that, this is not the way the composition wants to operate. You are not the star of this composition on Lee Sin. It is entirely dependent onto Johnson and Jose Diota to deal the damage. Lee Sin's job here is to peel, so IMT happy to take that kill. I don't think they're going to be able to get anything out of it, but we're going to just take a look at how this played out. Let's see if we can see what it was that Licorice actually saw on this. No, actually, I don't know anything that he saw on that one. Destiny might be one of the most slippery members on this lineup, and rightfully he plays his own ultimate on top of him and just keeps him locked down.
Yeah, unfortunate stuff there. I mean, Fly maybe thought they could catch Destiny there, but as you mentioned, very easy for Rakan to get out. As the mid outer does go down, IMT doing a nice job keeping things equalized. Again, doesn't feel like they want to run head first into a 5v5, but definitely if they can find the right engage, it is possible to make something happen here. But FlyQuest now around the Baron, still have a minute 30 until they have to want to play for that Cloud Soul. So a bit of time to maybe threaten the other objective in the meantime.
Threaten the objective, or at least force a trade. You can give up this Dragon if you want to go for the Baron, and then just try to get more gold out of it with a single push. Tristana is going to be very effective at that one, and it's not like the wave clear on IMT is superb in actually dealing with a sieged up Baron. So there are options for FlyQuest right now. They likely will prioritize the Dragon, though, because with the items that they have right now for these carries, taking a fight on their own terms will be in their benefit. You just don't want to get gived right away, but everything else you're happy to take.
Let me tell you, I've played a lot of mid-commer in my time, Crumbs. Palfox is offline.
Why?
Why?
Oh, yeah.
It was really popular at, around MSI.
Okay.
And the skin was sweet. It was that year with the skin with that one.
All right.
I remember playing any solo queue with one of our producers. We both were in Brazil. We were playing into NA, and we won most of our games somehow. So that was pretty fun.
Mid-Karma on the Brazil server.
I mean, no, we were playing from Brazil to the US.
Oh,
it was
okay.
like it was like classic OC to NA solo queue all over again. 160 ping Karma, much better than like something actually hard to play.
If there was a champion to play at 160 ping, I'd actually choose
Karma's a good one.
an Enchanter in the mid lane.
All right, well, here's Arden Sensor is the whole reason I'm bringing it up, because he's ready to empower these ADs. They don't have their third items yet, but that doesn't matter. Palfox is ready for him as FlyQuest are going to go to the Baron.
This is going to be burned really quickly. IMT is going to have to engage right away. Xerxes can steal, though. He does have flash and a lot of burst.
Licorice here trying to play bodyguard, though. That's the important one. Xerxes does have flash. Ooh, lights are out. In they go. And Braum is going to actually counter-ulti very nicely there from Dreams, but he does take maybe a little too much damage. Oh, there's a bounty on that one. Ray's got it, though. I believe it's Jose Diota looking to get aggressive. Licorice as well, trying to find the angle. Dreams flashes in, but now Dreams, ulti out for Kindred there, is going to save the Braum's life, but for how much longer as IMT can descend upon them? But Licorice living now for a while as Jose is a little caught off. Those Qs working overtime there for Razor's FlyQuest. I just don't think they have the health left to re-engage.
But they have enough health to actually go for the Baron if IMT want to leave, so they have to decide if they want to stay around Baron, keep chasing, or go for another objective. They're trying to corral FlyQuest around the blue side. Both teams will disengage, but IMT sees an opportunity to go take this Dragon. Pings are already going down. Raze and Xerxes are going to go for it, and FlyQuest not in a position to go for the Baron just yet.
The other reason, play mid-comma, by the way. If you ever play League of Legends with Captain Flowers, it's the easiest game of your life.
Nice.
You just follow him around and speed him up on Skarner.
Buff up the Skarner. Okay. That works. That's a good strategy, actually. There have been plenty of just speed comps with the Skarner, whether it's the Karma Skarner or with the Sivir. He always likes speed.
Yeah, he says he loves playing with me because I just play in
Right.
As IMT do get that Dragon, now 3-2 in Fly's favor still. Gold lead actually up from Immortals as well. They're up a little over 1,000 gold. 3 items finished for Ezreal. Also 3 items finished for Tristana. So perhaps the next encounter will look a little bit different here for FlyQuest. Johnson finally kind of online. This is the points Triss love to play from. If you could start every game, 30 minutes, 3 items as Triss, you probably would. Jose Diota in onto Xerxes. But tough one to get there for Greg, especially with the Zhonya's. Now they go back in. Destiny looking for the angle. James puts up the door. Counter ulti's there, but the TP ulti out of Insanity as he's going to get caught off. Razor already took down Dream, so TP laid in for Licorice. And now Buster shot back. Johnson in trouble. Insanity Golden love the play there as revenge. Diving in on the Viego, trying to make it happen. Jose no ulti though, as they will disengage FlyQuest. How'd you get away from that one? Oh, Raze, goodness gracious, in there with the Arcane Shift, but doesn't make it.
Okay, Johnson can try to lifesteal, and they can still defend this. Last time they were able to fend off a Baron 3v5, so I don't think FlyQuest is particularly deterred from losing the Braum here. They're still going to walk away with an objective advantage, and IMT is not going for the Baron. That's going to be another mark for Kindred, so despite the fight going in IMT's favor, you just only caught the Braum. FlyQuest still walk away victorious.
All right, well, let's just one again. Again, FlyQuest on the assault, trying to make room around the Baron, but nice play here from Insanity.
They thought they caught Jose Diodo. The flash from Destiny just barely clipped him. He flashed out of it, and so, yes, they get the Braum, but then committing even further there splits multiple members apart. They don't get enough damage on anybody to be low enough to be executed. They end up flashing away, and by getting this low, they're just not in a position to go for an objective again. They're going for Baron, though, right after that reset.
All right, FlyQuest are back in the area. Jose ready with the ulti, but the Baron's very low. They need to get the vision. Destiny off to the side. The Baron should be IMT's. Lights are out. Love the play out of IMT. And now they look for the re-engage. Turning in onto Dreams. And that is a shutdown onto Johnston as well. IMT, they've found the angle. They've made it too. And FlyQuest can only run as Xerxes looking to pursue. Jose Diodo now trying to slow them down, shooting away, pretty powerful, but Revenge is the big one to watch here. Bottom of your screen, flanking around, has the Cloud patch to run through as well. Insanity zooming in alongside Destiny. And now where do you go? Powerfox running away, he reveals them. Now they're on the wrong side of the rift, as they're gonna have to fight this out eventually. Pretty strong, but it's a 2v4.
They're really fast, though, so they might actually be able to get away, although Ezreal is actually pushing the mid lane.
Oh, Insanity found it. He sped up now. Jose's going to get exhausted. He's going to die. Ulti's knocking him out. Powerfox can only continue to run away, but Kindred, being cosplayed by Viego, finds the W slow to catch Paladin Race. He's been in mid. He knocks down a tower.
He did not want to have any part with that chase, instead gets an inhibitor turret. Not the inhibitor though, but that is actually a fine push because they didn't reset after that objective. That earlier reset and instant call into the Baron was critical for IMT to catch FlyQuest off guard. They've been so good at defending any Baron attempt when they were there, but this time around they were too far away. IMT immediately seized the opportunity to take that objective, and now they might have just cracked the game wide open here. Good cast to disengage. Paranoia, not necessarily interested in the engage, but rather making sure that FlyQuest doesn't know what's coming from IMT. When you catch out the Braum, even if the Tristana goes down, there's just no more front line. Nobody to get stunned with the auto attacks, so IMT can chase freely.
All right, well, we give up the rest of the replay. Thank you, because it was lasting for a while there, but they did get 2 kills, and Raze broke mid, so there's all good stuff for IMT. Still on the Red Bull Baron buff. Looking to open up that gold lead even more. Next Dragon up in 55. That'll sync up nicely with IMT's Baron expiring, but FlyQuest are getting scrappy. Trying to keep control of the mid wave here if they can. No supers yet, as a reminder, so FlyQuest can push these waves back with relative ease as long as they're grouped together, especially if IMT aren't powering up the waves themselves. But the flip side is that IMT push very quickly with the Baron buff, so you can't leave your towers unattended for too long, as Raze is currently demonstrating.
They push quickly and they engage even faster. That's what they've found every time. Never really been 5 members of FlyQuest together. Only a few caught out a little bit far away, and so the fights become so much easier for them. Now that FlyQuest is entirely grouped, it's going to be much tougher for IMT to find that opportunity to immediately pick off a member and continue the engage.
And it does feel like that's been the big problem for FlyQuest. IMT have done a really good job of finding engages where FlyQuest aren't all bunched together, right? Because that's the fight you really don't want to take if you're IMT, where Karma's just enchanting the back line as the front lines are getting in the way, and Kindred and Tristan are shooting you forever. So done a good job avoiding that scenario so far. Are going to be walking in here to try and take the inhib. Revenge, a little too far forward, forced to ulti out. Insanity, defensive Nocturne ulti there, does force FlyQuest away.
Okay, so maybe without that ultimate, FlyQuest feel a little bit more confident going for a fight. The problem is they really don't have a way to engage. It's Immortals going in again.
Powerfox in problem. Destiny's found 2. What an ulti. There's Jose Diodo, though, trying to save the day, but the ultimate's just not going to be enough. He does flash out to safety. Powerfox is there. Johnson's still out as well. He actually took out Destiny. But now they need Powerfox back for the reinforcements. IMT still enough damage to take the mid inhib.
Critical ultimate from Jose Diodo. They might have just lost the game right there. So the worst thing that happens is they lose the inhibitor. They will also lose the dragon, but it looks like FlyQuest is trying to make a final stand here. Licorice TPs to the bottom wave. They want to defend this, but he's only him. There's no team behind him.
Bonus Scry's Bloom, not fast enough for the Dragon. Jose roams back in, but they just can't join this fight. No ulti left for the Kindred, no ulti for Licorice. Nothing to find here as Raze grabs himself the blue buff. And FlyQuest going to be on defense for a little while longer with those super minions knocking through mid. And also this top pressure still there, but let's watch this one again.
An attempt onto Revenge's life, but a quick ultimate gets him out. And even though the paranoia doesn't actually contribute to this next engage, Destiny once again finds a great angle. Flash catches 2 members, both carries of FlyQuest. That is the dream engage for any support, but a critical ultimate from Jose de Oro. So much damage was laid on top of that. That game was almost lost, but they held on.
All right, well, still IMT staying aggressive. Blue buff does not get donated over. Good timing, though, for Raze. Just didn't quite have the aim as Palafox pretty intelligently pulled the blue buff away from its usual spot. IMT, though, still applying that pressure. A minute left until the Baron is respawned. They'll be more than happy to waltz in there and take it.
Yeah, they are going to be really confident in defending this too, because for the past few minutes, Raze has been deadly. We talked about in Champs Select the importance of denying the Ezreal Karma combination, but now you're dealing with 2 marksmen who are getting outranged by a single player in Raze. His Mystic shots are doing so much damage since the itemization for FlyQuest is mostly aggressive, and they just can't get onto him. So many times when you're up against Ezreal, you just want to try to find an avenue to engage upon him, but now it's really just up to Raze to overextend, to shift forward for you to kill him. So FlyQuest not only have to think about dealing with the engage, but then dealing with an Ezreal that has a 700 gold bounty on top of him.
All right, well, 2 minutes 40 until the inhib's going to respawn in mid, so FlyQuest just have to sit here in mid and try and push back the super minions. IMT, of course, want to go for this Baron. And I don't know if FlyQuest are going to be able to walk on in here. They don't have the vision right now. IMT have made sure to keep a hold on that. Raze even shifting around aggressively, just poking onto Dreams.
Not afraid of a Braum. There's no engage. There's no one that can actually pick him off, so he has no problem using his Arcane Shift aggressively. IMT has no problems looking for an engage if FlyQuest want to present that opportunity. They don't need the Baron to end the game, but Insanity has been spotted. Quickly backs away, though, knows that that Trinket Ward would have been his demise had he continued to march forward. They'll just take that forward pressure to go for the Baron. Does FlyQuest make it in time? Doesn't look like it, but they're still trying.
If FlyQuest know what's up, though, they did get the Scry's Bloom down. They're not going to grab the Baron, but can they get the team fight here is the question. IMT looking to go back in again. Paranoia pop. Destiny with a great flank, but Johnson's going to flush himself out of there. Insanity diving back in there, but the damage might be a little too much. Big shield though on top of him as Johnson getting assaulted. Jose forced to pop the ulti, but they need to stay in the zone. So actually looking to dunk them around. They find it as IMT re-engage beautifully, and it's absolute carnage. No chance at all for FlyQuest. It's IMT with a clean Bud Light ace.
It was a rough early game, but a dominant mid to late game from IMT, executing their team fighting so well. Destiny in particular took such advantage of Insanity's paranoia, finding the right angles for the Rakan to engage, putting FlyQuest in a tricky situation. They could never stand together. They could never coordinate how to deal with the attack from multiple angles, and IMT can feel like they had a 3-0 week. It wasn't quite 3-0s, but in all 3 games this week, they were in winning positions.
Definitely feels like it's trending upwards for them. FlyQuest, I like the look of the comp, but maybe I overestimated like the strength of it once you got to 30 minutes, because they got to 30 minutes and IMT just picked it apart.
Yeah, it was, I think, to me, Destiny was my pog. I feel like he was so critical in actually flanking so many times and finding those flash engages to make sure that then the rest of the team could follow up. They didn't want to use the Gragas to be the initial engage because he'd have to just go in and then Zhonya's or just get burned right away. But with Destiny going in right away, allowed the rest of the team to be follow-up, and it just looked so much better. So glad that we got his Pro View for free for this game.
That's true. You can't watch Dreams in Destiny. That was the free Pro View for this game. Shout out to Insanity as well for being the lighting guy in this game. Perfect timing, basically. Shutting him off whenever Destiny was looking for an angle, made his job a little bit easier.
It's one of the funnest parts about Nocturne. You don't actually have to do anything. You just, I've already done my job, guys. I pressed R and I didn't go in. It's up to you now to win the fight.
I pressed R and didn't die. I did the right thing. What have you been doing?
Yes, that's what I tell my solo queue teammates, and they complain and don't let me play Nocturne the next game.
Well, it's very surprising, isn't it? Yeah, I can't overemphasize how challenging that game looked at some points for IMT. Like, they were behind, but not by a lot. But it just didn't feel like there was an obvious way to get through Bodyguard Braum, Tristana, Kindred plus Kindred ulti, Lee Sin kicking you away, and Karma just ready at full power every team fight.
Yet they found it, and I think the lesson this week has been, including CLG's 3-0 week, is the dominance of heavy engage. The fact that if you're trying to play Peel, it's just so difficult to engage and find the opportunities. You're always playing reactive versus IMT, who can always be finding the flanks, finding the fights that they want to spell on their own terms, and with every single member being interested in that game plan, it makes it so much easy for everybody to know what their game plan. We had moments where it was clear that FlyQuest didn't really know where everybody was supposed to be at. Licorice on Lee Sin, that's a confusing game to play Lee Sin. Who are you kicking away? At what timing? Who are you prioritizing? What about if the fight doesn't go the way that you expect it? A lot harder to play these compositions, and many, many more options in the hard engage.
It definitely feels like the burden of execution was a bit tougher, but now it's time to toss it over to the Tigress and Destiny for our Verizon post-game interview.
Hey everybody, we're here on the stage after the victory talking to Destiny, because what a hype match up for Immortals, though it did come down to some later game team fights. So what was this game like from your perspective?
It was a bit of a banger. Definitely came down to team comp execution, playing Rakan and Gragas and trying to get onto the Kindred to blow a hold. It was actually a really hard game because I feel like they scaled very well. They had Kindred, Braum, very strong front to back. So yeah, I'm just really glad that we won.
Yeah, how did that affect the way that you played the game later on, knowing they had the double marksman there, but you knew that Raze was getting strong, scaling into it?
Yeah, Raze was actually a really good Ezreal. It was one of his best champs in OS, and I'm probably leaking too much, but he's really good on the pick, and I'm glad that he got to finally play it on stage. Yeah, it was really hard. I had to be a bit more creative this game and look for flanks. In particular, I was hiding around the jungler. Their Braum was showing on mid wave a lot, so I took advantage of that. But yeah, I was just trying to be sneaky and really annoying for them.
And that sneakiness has earned you player of the game for this matchup and this W. So tell me a bit more about your approach as a support, because we've seen you on the Thresh just kind of slamming those hooks, now on the Rakan, also engage, but does operate in a different way.
Yeah, I'd say that Thresh is a lot about protecting your AD carry, playing Lantern for him, looking for hooks over walls. But with Rakan, it's mainly around hitting your knock-up. If you hit up your knock-up and with the Charm and the ult, you pretty much want to play to one-shot everyone. That's pretty much the differences between the champions. In EU, I wasn't really allowed to play any other champion besides Nautilus, so it feels good to play new champs here in the LCS.
I know I might be asking you to leak anything, but is there a champ that you've been wanting to play that you've been barred against for so long?
I can't leak, or Gohoto will get really angry at me.
All right, that makes sense. Seems like a nice guy. We had him on the desk yesterday, but want to keep him happy.
Yeah.
So you as a team obviously working together very well. One part of this composition that did stay the same was kind of that top side, right? You had Viego, you had the Nocturne mid, you had the Gragas. How key was that to kind of honing in on what has been working for Immortals going into the victory here today?
Yeah, I feel like the Nocturne in particular has been one of our strong champs the past 2 days. It's worked out really well. The ultimate everyone doesn't know what to do, what's going on. They can't look at each other's computers. It's too in the moment. So yeah, I'd say our top side played really well this game. They played off waves and used their ultimates really well. Once Viego got a reset in the fight, he would just clean up everything. So no, I'm just really happy that our team was really able to pull out the win today, because obviously the TSM win loss was really sucked.
But teamwork makes the dream work. It worked today. Yeah. I always got to shout out your team too that does stay on by to go and watch the interviews and support one another. Yeah, hi everybody. Thank you so much for taking the time on the stage.
No worries. Thank you for the interview.
We do have one more game to go on the opposite side of this break. GG is taking on EG. You don't want to miss it. Let's wrap this week strong, baby. See you there.